What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. President Donald Trump calls in thousands of National Guard. I'll give you the details on this in this video, as well as a congressional hearing goes viral with a Trump administration official, and I'll let you hear it directly in this video. Yeah, some shocking news, and we're going to jump right in here right now so you guys can get all the information. We are live right now here on the YouTube It's Jimmy Show. Let me know if you can see and hear me. Type yes in the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from. You can let me know your city, state, or even your country, as we have people tuning in here from all around the globe. Don't forget to hit that like button for me here, and if you haven't yet, subscribe down below so you don't miss out on future videos. I keep you up to date here with everything you need to know on a daily basis, and also help me reach 500,000 subscribers. All right, take a look here. President Donald Trump is calling in thousands of National Guards here. Take a look here at what is happening.
To take you out live right now, look at downtown LA. You can see demonstrators still out there facing off with a line of law enforcement, though this scene much quieter than what we saw before. Now, we want to break down why the president calling for the California National Guard to step in is such a rare move, seeing as the governor of California has not requested the deployment. The president is instead invoking a rare federal law called Title 10. It's a section that allows the president to call up National Guard members to federal service during an invasion, rebellion, or if the president can't execute the law. NBC Bay Area's Marianne Favre is tracking the latest in Los Angeles, along with how Governor Newsom is responding. Marianne?
Well, tonight, Governor Gavin Newsom is responding to the president's order, calling President Trump's move inflammatory and saying it will escalate tensions amid the immigration crackdown. Tear gas, flashbang grenades, and arrests punctuated the rallies earlier today, protesting the detention of immigrants and mass deportation by the Trump administration. Tonight, President Trump signed an order to deploy 2,000 members of the National Guard in response to the protests. Governor Newsom responded on X, saying the federal government is sowing chaos so they can have an excuse to escalate. That's not the way any civilized country behaves. More than 100 Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies have responded to what is being called an unlawful assembly, with more than 400 protesters and increased destruction of property.
As the crowd has grown, it has become more violent. There are individuals in the crowd that have been throwing objects at the federal agents.
But protesters say they're fighting to protect immigrants' rights, even as more Border Patrol agents respond to the city of Paramount in Southern California.
The Border Patrol, ICE, they know that they cannot go anywhere in this country where our people are and try to kidnap our workers, our people, and they can't do that without an organized and fierce resistance.
As small fires erupt in the streets and a wall of responders in tactical gear stand ready to respond, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said in a post on X that the Defense Department is immediately mobilizing the National Guard to support federal enforcement in Los Angeles. And if violence continues, active duty Marines at Camp Pendleton are on high alert and will also be mobilized. Governor Newsom says California authorities don't need the help. Today's unrest comes one day after dozens were taken into custody across at least 3 locations in Los Angeles. Tonight, State Senator Scott Wiener posted on social media that President Trump's move to federalize the California National Guard is a, quote, radical and dangerous escalation.
Yeah, so let me know your guys' thoughts here in the comments section. Should President Donald Trump call in National Guard? Will we see more of this? Will this escalate or de-escalate the situation? And also, does this remind you here of the LA riots from decades ago? Will we see this grow even bigger, or will the National Guard diffuse the situation? What are your thoughts here in the comment section? Also, here is a congressional hearing that is going viral here with Trump's trade advisor, Secretary Howard Lutnick, and Congressional Representative Madeleine Dean take a listen to what just went down here in a congressional hearing. Take a listen here.
Ms. Dean?
Thank you, Chairman Rogers. Thank you, Ranking Member Meng. Thank you, Ranking Member DeLauro. And thank you to you, Secretary Lutnick. Thanks for being here today. I want to pick up on what Mr. Morelli was talking about, and I'll use the word stability. And I think you know this from your many years in business. And that's what I thought about as I was preparing for today. The importance of stability, or as he said, predictability. Stability is the foundation of economic growth. I think you've lived it. Businesses need clear and predictable rules to plan and to invest for the future. Given this administration's claim of being pro-business and pro-growth, I am so baffled by the discussions around trade deficits and the president's belief around trade deficits and the president's beliefs around tariffs and the chaotic tariff policy. They're on, they're off. Many of the tariffs are punishing, creating a level of instability and uncertainty in our economy that we haven't seen since COVID. I hear the same thing over and over from constituents, from small businesses, from bankers in my area. They can't figure out how to plan, how to lend. Businesses can't figure out how to expand, how to grow, whether to hire, whether to not hire. And I'd heard just literally this morning from a very large American retailer. First word out of the woman's mouth was uncertainty, and the last thing she said to me was uncertainty, all surrounding tariffs. The lack of predictability. I also serve on the Foreign Affairs Committee, was recently in UK and Denmark, met with the American Chamber in both countries. Confused, uncertain, they can't figure it out. What in God's name is going on? We cannot plan to grow businesses. We cannot plan to grow growth and jobs. So I am baffled, absolutely baffled, by this administration's talk around trade deficits and tariffs. I fear the administration lacks a basic understanding of what a trade deficit is. I think many economists take issue with equating a country's trade deficit with any one country and its economic well-being. Some economists actually view a trade deficit as a sign of a country's economic health because it means we're purchasing more. For me, I have a pretty large trade deficit with my local grocer or my hairdresser. It's a good thing. It means I have money enough to get my hair done once in a while and to keep food on the table. It tells nothing about my overall financial position. Do you know when this country actually had a trade surplus, Secretary?
The president likes to speak about before.
No, historically. When did we have a trade surplus? I'm not talking about the president. Historically.
I think early, about 100 years ago.
It was the Great Depression. It was a sign of what was going on. It was during the Great Depression. That's a direction none of us wants to go. Tariffs. It's 90 days. We're going to have 90 deals in 90 days. Then there's a 90-day pause. Many of these tariffs, as they say, punishing. Tariffs on things that make no sense whatsoever. Where are we going to go with the remaining deals? I know of one deal that has been apparently resolved with the United Kingdom. We got 89 more deals to do in just a few more days. Where are we on those deals?
We are in the midst of negotiations with dozens and dozens of countries. We could sign deals, but they're only going to get better as we negotiate them.
That's just simply not true. Because as I told you, the American...
Actually, I promise you it's true because I am doing it. So I promise you it is true, and I'm here testifying in front of you, and I promise you it's true.
And Mr. Trump promised to bring down the cost of goods day one. And what he has done through his trade deficit fixation and his tariff chaos has nakedly increased the cost of goods. The estimates are that for consumers in my area, suburban Philadelphia, $2,000 at least a year increases on goods. I'll give you an example of one. Bananas. What's the tariff on bananas? Americans, by the way, love bananas. We buy billions of them a year. I love bananas. What's the tariff on bananas?
The tariff on bananas would be representative of the countries that produce them.
And what's that tariff?
Generally 10%.
Correct, 10%. Walmart has already increased the cost of bananas by 8%.
But as countries do deals with us, that will go to zero. As countries do deals with
But
us,
the
that will
cost
go
is
to
on the
zero.
American consumer now and on the businesses with the confusion now. Mr. Secretary, I believe you know better. I believe you recognize that a trade deficit is not something to fear. I believe you know that predictability, stability is essential for businesses. I wish you would show that truth to this administration, and I yield back.
Time of the gentlelady has
Do you
expired.
mind, Mr. Chairman, if I make one quick comment to the end? Would that be okay?
I'm sorry?
Would you mind if I make one quick comment to the representative?
Please.
There's no uncertainty if you build in America and you produce your product in America, there will be no tariff.
We can't
So the
produce bananas
concept
in
of
America.
building in America and paying no tariff
We
is
cannot-
very, very clear.
We cannot
Fighting for
build
imports is
bananas in
not the same.
America.
So let me know your thoughts on that in the comment section. Quote, we cannot build bananas in America. And these tariffs are live right now and are increasing prices on a lot of things, especially things from every single country right now. 30% from China, Canada, Mexico, the European Union, all sorts of different tariffs from every sorts of different country, different for every country, and we cannot build bananas in the United States. Things like avocados, things like kiwis, things like coffee that are imported. There's just so many different things that we cannot build in the United States. And the 50% tariffs on aluminum and steel, well, the United States only does, well, I'll rephrase that. The United States does not produce 25% of it that we don't consume. So let me rephrase that again. We only produce 75% of what we consume. So we import 25% of steel and aluminum, or 75% of the steel that we produce, we consume, but we still need to import 25%. Okay, so now we need to still import another 25%, and now it's going to have a 50% tariff on it, which means it's going to be cost Americans, American businesses, and anything that's built with steel 50% more. Is that a good thing for America? Think of all the stuff that's going to be built with steel and is now going to be cost 50% more. So we're already using every ounce of steel that the American Steel, union and industry uses. We use every bit of it. And we still need to import more. And it's just going to cost American businesses and the whole country more. That's just one thing. The problem is that there's tariffs on everything that Trump is doing. There's tariffs on every country in the whole world. It's not just like, certain like things, like certain, industries and certain products. It's everything. So when you go to the grocery store, or you go to Walmart, or you go to Home Depot, or you go to CVS or anything, everything being imported is now going to cost more. And, so many people that, it depends on the political spectrum you're on. We're talking about the Biden inflation, during COVID and right after COVID, that was, 5% inflation, 6%, 7%, 8%, depending on the year. And now we're seeing a minimum tariffs of 10%, 30% from China, 50% on steel and aluminum. So now we're looking at this 10%, 30%, 50% inflation, depending on where you are. This inflation is much, much higher, and it's going to be coming soon, like it's just starting to hit. And 30% on anything from China, plus the 10% that was already in effect from, Trump's days at the end of his office, that really, went into effect when Biden came into office as well, that contributed to part of that inflation that went forward for those years going forward. And you got to kind of wonder, do we want these price increases? With 70% of Americans that don't even have $1,000 in their savings account. They can't even afford a $1,000 emergency. This is kind of a yikes moment. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments section. I will keep you up to date here as everything goes on here and with daily news here that you need to know about. Subscribe down below so you don't miss out on future updates, and share this video with anybody that needs to hear this information. Click here to see a massive Medicare and Medicaid update. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in